Yeah, Aaron, let me start with last night with whatever went on. By the way, Aaron will be joined by Dan Schulman and Jessica Mendoza, Buster Olney for ESPN's exclusive presentation of the National League wildcard game tonight at 8 Eastern. What are you thinking as you're watching the Blue Jays in the 11th inning with Zach Britton in the bullpen?
I would say at that point I was a little stunned. I had no issue up to that point, up to the 11th inning, with the way it unfolded because the Orioles have a great bullpen, and I think they used all their pieces properly. When I saw Brian Dunsing on the mound to start the 11th inning, at first I thought it was Britton just because I saw a left-handed pitcher, and I thought, okay, yeah, this feels like the right time to bring him out. You got the top of the order. When I saw it was Dunsing, I kind of went, okay, he's going to try and piece this thing together again. When he retired Carrera, now you've got Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Bautista coming up. I was frankly very surprised that they went to Ubaldo in that situation, just because, even though he's been pitching well of late, it's still he's coming into a situation that he hasn't really been in out of the bullpen. He's been a guy that historically, when he has issues, it's command related, and you really want to avoid that in that situation. But I thought, okay, he's pushed all the right buttons at this point. And as soon as the first hit happened, I thought, okay, you've got to go get Britton now. This is the time. Then another hit goes by, and then I see him go out to the mound, and I'm thinking, okay, now you definitely need Britton, who's a master at getting the ball on the ground. You really need a double play ball here, either with Encarnacion or with Bautista. So, look, at the risk of piling on, and I have mad respect for Buck Showalter, I thought it was a huge blunder to not have Britton in that game at any point in the 11th inning.
Yeah, I just looked at those three hitters, and you have to get through that group there to live to see another inning, and that's what surprised me where they didn't bring him in. And the fact the guy's given up one run since the start of May, Aaron, that's why he's a Cy Young candidate.
It's stunning. It's stunning that he doesn't get into that game. And it's going to be a question that Buck is going to probably have to answer for the rest of his life, unfortunately. That like you said, a Cy Young candidate doesn't get in that game at the 11th inning point of the game. You would think he would have had at least 2 innings, maybe more, in the tank for him, giving your team even more ample time to score. And if you can't win it in 13 innings, at that point, then you try and piece it together.
You saw there was a beer bottle thrown during that game by somebody, one of the Toronto fans. Have you ever had stuff thrown at you when you played?
Yeah. Nothing that sticks out like that, but sure, you've had minor things happen like that. I mean, that's incredibly unfortunate, and hopefully, just a little reminder that, all these teams right now, all these stadiums, parks that we're about to go in, hopefully it just, raises a little red flag or a little light goes on that, hey, we got to make sure we're absolutely buttoned up, from a security standpoint, from having our cameras set up and being able to, really do away with these kind of things. And hopefully the guy, I don't know the follow-up, but hopefully the guy that did it, was caught, is prosecuted, is not allowed into stadiums. And when you come down hard on those things, hopefully that can add as a deterrent as well.
Yeah, I think he should be punished and not allowed to drink beer the rest of his life, Aaron. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, let's not go too carried away now.
He's Aaron Boone of the Mothership tonight. They'll have the Giants and the Mets. You got Syndergaard against Bumgarner, so you would expect a pitching duel here. What could tip the balance here when you have a winner-take-all situation?
Well, I'll be keeping an eye on the pitch counts. You would think on the Giants side with Bumgarner, it's not a real issue. I mean, if Bumgarner's throwing well, I think we could all conceivably see him going 130, maybe more pitches than that, if he's pitching well. So you don't really worry about him if he's on his game, getting deep into the game. With Syndergaard, those pitch counts at times have been an issue. Yeah. And I think going up against this Giants lineup, not a juggernaut, not by any means offensively, but the one thing they do well is they put the ball in play and they walk. So they're not striking out and they walk, which is kind of a unique combination. So I think it's going to be imperative for Syndergaard when he's ahead in the count. So when he's 0-2, when he's 0-1, when he's 1-2, not getting too many counts where it goes to 3-2. Being content with challenging these guys in the strike zone, and if that means some contact, so be it. But not having no fear of that. I think that gives him a chance to go deeper in the game. And then when he has runners on base, the stolen base has been a huge issue for Syndergaard. 48 stolen bases against him this year.
Yikes.
The Giants, don't run a lot. Nunez probably not in the lineup for the Giants. So, but look for the Giants if they get some opportunities to try and kind of force the issue a little bit on the bases, especially because obviously they're not a team that hits the ball out of the ballpark a lot.
Bumgarner's personality on the mound. How would you describe that?
Fiery,
prickly,
ego-driven. Prickly is a good one. Yeah, and that's the case for him. And hearing him talk yesterday and knowing him a little bit, nothing really changes for him, whether it's a spring training game in March in Scottsdale or tonight's game. I mean, that's the way he is. When he's between the lines, he's very competitive. At times, the Puig situation a couple of weeks ago, I felt like was entirely Bumgarner's fault, and actually may have cost the Giants in that situation. But there's no denying that it's a big factor in who he is, and a big factor, I think, in his success.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know who else you faced that had a demeanor like that. Randy Johnson could be that way on the mound, but I don't know if there's somebody else that you see Bumgarner and you've already experienced that as a player. Yeah,
Randy Johnson, I guess, comes to mind, but I think they're a little different personality in that Randy, when he was playing, was a lot more reserved and closed off, whereas Bumgarner's a little more, slickly outgoing, even in his kind of dry, understated way. But from a demeanor, from a competitive standpoint, I think that's a fair comparison, and actually from a repertoire standpoint.
Have fun tonight, Aaron. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
That's Aaron Boone.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.